morning, Miramar, and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Tamara G. As always, you can check us out on all of our social media. We are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at City of Miramar. And I am so happy to have with us today Broward State Attorney Harold Pryor. He is here to talk about the things that his office is doing, particularly to help those trying to expunge their criminal records and anything else that we decide to get into in this conversation. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
No problem. So we have to start with history. Broward County State Attorney Harold Pryor, the first African-American state attorney for Broward County. And I'm sure that it's been a whirlwind, getting to learn the job and getting to know everything that it is about being a state attorney.
Yeah. It's a large or big responsibility. My role is seen, or many refer to my role as state attorney as the chief law enforcement officer in the county. I know many people think that is the sheriff. The sheriff is the largest law enforcement entity in the county because obviously they have 14 to 16 cities that they provide public safety services to. But in regards to chief law enforcement officer, I'm responsible for all the cities, all the municipalities in the county. Any law enforcement officer can arrest any one of us in the county. But at the end of the day, who decides if those charges are going to be filed or if those charges are going to be dropped? It's up to me. It's up to my office. And so that's why many people refer to my role as a chief law enforcement officer in the county. But also, it's consistent with federal government. In the federal government, the chief law enforcement officer is the attorney general. In the state of Florida, it's the Florida attorney general. And in each circuit, the 17th Circuit, Broward County, which we're in, I'm the chief law enforcement officer because Miramar has their own police chief, Chief Moss, who's doing a great job. And many of the other law enforcement entities have their own chiefs of police. And so whether you're the sheriff or the chief of Miramar, if there's a case that happens in Miramar, or if the case happens in North Lauderdale or Pompano Beach, and the sheriff or the sheriff's deputies, they have to submit those cases to my office. And we make those determinations. So it's from misdemeanor offenses all the way to first degree premeditated murder. So my job is to keep everyone safe, but also ensure that we're being safe, but we're being fair, but also ensuring that we're giving people opportunities, giving people a second chance, and not being overly punitive and throwing everyone into prison.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because, obviously, if the person is a victim of a crime or a family, loses a loved one or something that happens, your office has to determine if there are charges that should be filed and also can the case be won.
Right.
So, how is it that, people always are upset because they don't get what they perceive as justice?
Yeah, and that's the one of the most toughest parts about my job is those tough conversations that we have with victims of crime, family members who've lost loved ones due to the criminal act of another. And one thing I wanted to point out, and I wanted to really hammer in on or really illustrate the point. My office, whenever we make a decision or whenever we look at a case, our goal isn't to win a case. Our goal is to see justice. And I wanted to change that. My part of my goal and part of my job, as I always say, in my office is to rebrand, or not just rebrand, but bring us back to what the original intent of a prosecutor is or a criminal justice fighter is, and that is to seek justice. I think we perverted or we really messed up the idea or the concept of what a prosecutor is, right? A prosecutor was seen as someone that's tough on crime. A prosecutor is seen as someone that wants to win at all costs, get a guilty verdict at all costs. And that's not the intent. The job of a prosecutor is to seek justice. And what I often tell my prosecutors in my office, in the Broward County's office, is that our job is to seek the truth, to seek justice. And justice is so many different things. Justice is a guilty verdict. Justice is a not guilty verdict. Justice sometimes is us dropping a case. Justice is also sometimes us exonerating someone who's been wrongfully convicted. And so what we try to do is to change the terminology in our office. When we congratulate our prosecutors, we no longer say congratulations on the win. Or if there's a not guilty, we don't say, hey, you lost. It's, hey, even though we disagree with the findings of the jury, or if we disagree with the findings of the judge, that's the judicial system. And so well, our goal is to seek the truth. And I think if you focus on seeking the truth or seeking justice, it makes it easier for you to do the right thing. You're not worried about a conviction rate. You're not worried about, we have a 90% or 80% conviction rate. You're worried about doing what's right. And sometimes doing what's right, the numbers aren't going to look good, right? They're not going to look great. But you have a good conscience on your shoulders, and that's our goal. That's really our goal.
Well, speaking of those numbers,
Yeah.
there have been many arrests in the past dealing with, and I would say misdemeanor cases, I guess, of marijuana, misdemeanor drug use, that type of thing. And people were getting sentences that didn't really seem to correlate with what that is. But your office, has looked to change that, which you have. But then there are, of course, people who are not happy with that because they think that, we're letting drug addicts off. So, how do you balance that? Because State Attorney Pryor, I know that has got to be, like you said, if you do what's right, then I guess you don't have to worry about the numbers.
Right, right. And I'm glad you asked that question. I think that's a great question and allows me to kind of point to that. When we look at criminal justice reform, or when we look at diversion programs or presenting opportunities to not be overly punitive, I think people have looked at it with a negative outlook, or a negative connotation is placed upon giving someone a second chance or creating diversion programs, when in fact, if you talk to liberal or conservative scholars, I don't care if you're right or left, I don't care if you're the most progressive or the least progressive scholar out there, all of them agree to this point. And the point is, the more educated a person is, the more economic opportunity a person has, the less likely they are to commit a crime, or the less likely they are to reoffend if they've ever committed a crime. And so I'm committed to developing programs to hold people accountable, but also give them educational opportunity and economic opportunity as well. And so it's not us just slapping people on the hands and hoping that we don't see them again. It's actually us providing opportunities to these individuals and being consistent with the numbers, with the studies, with the academics in the area of criminal justice, by giving these people opportunities. And actually, it's not us making our communities less safe, it's making our communities safer, because if we have a person that has a drug addiction issue and we get them into our drug court, or we get them into our drug diversion program, and we get them the services that they need, and they no longer have that drug habit, they're no longer committing crimes to support that drug habit, that person is less likely to break into your home and to take something so they can support that habit. So that's us being safer rather than putting the drug addict in prison and then we're going to see them again. They're not going to serve life in prison for a drug possession case, or selling drugs, right? And so you didn't address the root cause of his issues. And so if you address the root cause of that individual's issues, they're less likely to reoffend, right? They're more adjusted. We're safer as a community. Likewise with education, we created a diversion program titled Court to College program in partnership with Broward College. And so if you commit certain third degrees or some second degree offenses and they're nonviolent and the victim approves it, you can go into the Court to College program where you get some form of educational attainment. And if you complete that program, you get your charge downgraded or dismissed. And so you leave the criminal justice system not as a convicted felon, and you leave the criminal justice system with an education, some form of a certification, certificate, GED, you name it. And also we created a program surrounding economic opportunity. And so I partnered with my good friend Newton Sannon with OIC of South Florida, and we created our program titled Economic Empowerment Today. And so if you commit a third degree offense or a second degree offense, certain second degree offenses, and they're nonviolent, you can get into this program. And OIC of South Florida, in partnership with my office, they will get you job training, job certification, and any particular area of need in this county, and then they find you job placement. So you leave the criminal justice system with a case that's been downgraded or dismissed. You're not a convicted felon, but also you leave the criminal justice system with a job. And so we provide you opportunities to fix any mental health issues because we have a mental health court and a mental health diversion program. We have a drug court and drug diversion program. And now, which is the first of its kind in the state of Florida and throughout the country, we have programs that are centered around education, court to college program with Broward College, and economic attainment with our Economic Empowerment Today program with OIC of South Florida. And so this is us looking at understanding that we can put people in prison, and we do put people in prison. We have a public defender, Gordon Weeks. He's doing an amazing job. I'll tell you that much. I'm not the public defender, and I'm the prosecutor, and he does an amazing job. And I'll tell you this much, with us, with my office, we look for ways to collaborate on seeking justice, truth, being fair, creating opportunities for people that come in contact with the court system. And so he's been a great partner. The public defender has been a great partner in that, even our sheriff. And so I've created these programs along with, yes, prison. We put people in prison. If you victimize the most vulnerable of our society, if you want to hurt, harm, or kill anyone using a weapon, you name it, we're going to hold you accountable. We will put you in prison. I'm not shy about that. That's my job, and we'll do it if appropriate and if necessary, or if probation sometimes is necessary. However, I do believe there are other alternatives for certain people, and if we can offer those alternatives to avoid sending people to prison, I think it's not us just trying to be, happy-go-lucky and just give people opportunities and not be concerned with our community safety. This is actually us looking at other alternatives and actually being consistent with studies and academics.
And
And
the
so when
fact
you
that
give
I was going to say,
opportunity,
yeah,
they're not
that
going
the
to commit crimes.
opportunity is there because before these programs weren't even there. You didn't even have a choice. You were going to prison, and that was
Right.
all that it was to it. If you were just tuning in, thank you so much for watching the show. We are speaking with Broward County State Attorney Harold Pryor. He's been talking about the great programs that the Broward State Attorney's Office is doing to try to stem the tide of crime and to get education to the people who may be committing these crimes, as well as drug court and other things. So it's good that those programs are there. I wanted to talk about that because I don't know if people really understand. It seems like everybody's going to prison. Like, everybody has a cousin, a brother, or somebody that's going to prison. But once they get out, it is not easy for them. I mean, apartments can say, no, I don't want to rent to you. They cannot get a job because they have a criminal record. And these are things I don't, of course, you're not thinking probably long term when you are committing the crime and being found guilty, but these are ramifications from those crimes, right?
Right. And it's a real thing. I've been extremely transparent. When I took office in 2021, when I ran for office in 2020, I was extremely transparent about my story and my background and where I come from. I'm a fifth generation Floridian. I come from a rough neighborhood in the west coast of Florida. I've had family members who've been in and out of the prison system. I've had cousins that are recently released from the criminal justice system. I've had cousins who were recently murdered, family friends, and homeboys, guys that I came up with from the age of 13 all the way up until the age of 24, who've lost their lives to gun violence. And so I've experienced that. I've seen it firsthand. I say it. I probably am the only state attorney who's visited a prison to go see a loved one. Not because of my job to go question someone or to get a statement, which I've done as a prosecutor, but I've actually visited prisons throughout the state of Florida to visit loved ones. And so I understand how the prison system can affect your loved ones, someone that you care about. I understand the pitfalls that you often fall into, family members coming home from prison, being released from prison, and wanting to go down the straight and narrow, but there wasn't many opportunities. I will say this, we're blessed to be in South Florida where there's abundance of programs and groups like OIC of South Florida, so many other entities out there that try to help and assist our returning citizens when they come back. but there are other parts in the state, they don't care. They're not going to offer those particular opportunities for individuals to keep them out of the system. And so it's a real thing. And so I've been very proactive in how I approach that. Oftentimes prosecutors, we're really only concerned with the case that's in front of us and coming up with some form of finality for the victims of the case, or witnesses, you name it, law enforcement, and then we move on to the next case. I'm taking more of a holistic approach and really trying to figure out, okay, we have this person in the fold. This person is redeemable. This person's not going to spend the rest of their life in prison, or this person's not going to spend the rest of their life in probation, or this person's on probation. How can we come up with ways to ensure that they don't violate and that they ultimately end up in prison? So my goal is to not see these individuals again, those people that are redeemable. How can we not see them again? And so rather than just say, this is a number, statistic, we're done, let's move on to the next one. We're proactively having conversations with the Department of Corrections, who also deals with people that are confined, but also they deal with the supervision of people that are placed on probation. And so I've taken a holistic approach, not just limiting it to what we do, but reaching out to groups like OIC of South Florida, Broward College, faith-based organizations, to figure out ways of, okay, if I do put this person in prison, what are some safety nets that we can create for when that person is ultimately released? And so we've been meeting with a lot of groups and entities trying to come up with programs to get them access for when they are released, get them job opportunities when they are released. And so that's my goal. My goal is to keep, that's for us to really is safety. If we get these people integrated and back into society and they have a sense of pride and self-worth and a sense of belonging, they're less likely to hit you upside your head, or they're less likely to break into your home. And so to me, that's a common sense approach.
And it crosses the gamut. I mean, there's all age groups, there's all races, there's all ethnicities that, commit crimes and are sent to prison. And then, as you mentioned, of course, the hardcore ones will be there for a lifetime, or, may
Right.
even get death penalty. But most of them eventually are going to return home. So once they return home, you all have a program that you do, and that you do these seminars at least, what, 4 times a year,
Yeah.
about expunging your record and getting all of that taken off so that you can be successful in society, and that people don't hold it against you, that they know that you committed a crime 20 years ago, that, they can still say no to housing for you, still say no to a job, still say no to many getting credit. I mean, things that most people take for granted because we do this every day. But if you haven't been in society for 10 years, you don't know about this kind of stuff.
Exactly, exactly. It's important and near and dear to my heart to offer these opportunities. My story, like I said, I have many family members who are in and out of the criminal justice system, not bad people. Drug addiction issues, mental health issues, or they made a mistake, and they're oftentimes were defined by those mistakes that they made and weren't given opportunities because there's a lack of information or knowledge. And so it was important for me to offer sealing and expungement workshops on a quarterly basis in Broward County. And we try to offer it in different regions and areas of Broward County. Normally we'll do one in the north, we'll do one in the south, we'll do them on the west and central Broward. And we try to do at least 4 of those in a year. And so these are sealing and expungement workshops. They're one-stop sealing and expungement workshops where if you were to ask anyone in the county, if you want to get your record sealed or expunged, and if you were to go to a private attorney, it's probably going to cost you anywhere in the range of $750 to potentially $2,000. Some attorneys will charge you that much to just fill out the paperwork. And then on top of that, not only that, you would probably more than likely be responsible for having to go to a law enforcement agency or go somewhere to get your fingerprints, because you're going to need your fingerprints done. And then obviously you would have to pay your $75 application fee, and then you'd have to send it off. Here at the One Stop Sealing and Expungement Workshop, we offer an opportunity for you to come to this one location, wherever it is in the county. And we have Madam Clerk, Brenda Foreman, who's amazing, and she always agrees to offer this service. She's a woman of the community. She's out there. She cares about people. And that's why I love working with Brenda Foreman, our clerk of courts. And so she brings the clerks to wherever location, whether it be in Pompano, Central, Fort Lauderdale,
Miramar.
South Broward, wherever, Miramar,
Yeah.
which we've done them in Miramar. And I want to thank Wayne Messam, Mayor Messam. He's hosted actually a couple. He's been so gracious in doing that. Alexandra Davis, everyone, Yvette Colburn, Maxwell Chambers, they've all been great allies in that. And so what we do is we have Madam Clerk Brenda Foreman. She'll come in with her staff. She brings in about 20 to 30 clerks, and they come there and they get our certified disposition. So for example, if you have a record that's eligible to be sealed or expunged, you actually need a certified copy of that, right? And
Okay.
so normally, sometimes you pay your attorney to fill out the paperwork, which will be 7,500 to 2,000 bucks, right? And then you would probably have to go to the clerk's office and get them to print out a certified copy of your disposition, which was going to cost you money. And then also we have the sheriff's office, Sheriff Gregory Tony. He's gracious to allow his deputies to come there and they do the fingerprints because you need a roll of fingerprints to go accompany your application. And then obviously my office, we look at your background, we see if you're eligible. We pull all the cases that you've had in Broward County. And then also we have sometimes the public defender has served, but also we have private defense attorneys. They sit down and let's say if you have multiple cases and you're trying to decide which one you want sealed or expunged, we have a table with private defense attorneys or sometimes public defenders, and they will sit there and advise you, okay, this is the charge that you probably want to get sealed or expunged. And then we also have Green Spoon Martyr, a law firm. They've come and they've agreed to pay for a select few individuals' application fee, the $75 application fee. So they do a random drawing of the participants there in the building, and they'll pay for your application fee. And so that's the beautiful thing about our sealing expungement workshop. It truly is a one-stop shop. You come there, everything's done for you. It's put in the folder, and the only thing you have to do is pay for your stamp. I don't know how much it is now. I think it's what, 50 cents now or maybe more. And you place it on
Wow.
and you put it in the mail. And it didn't cost you much. It didn't cost you anything. And
And
at
it's
most,
all in one place, so people don't have to be running all over town trying to get all this done.
right. And you get it done in one day because I've heard horror stories where, people they do it themselves, right? And so they fill out the application, it doesn't take you long, but then they have to go find someone that can look up their background and pull up their certified dispo. Then they have to go to the clerk's office and get it. Then they have to go to a law enforcement agency to get their fingerprints rolled. So it could be a nightmare. And so here it's not cost prohibitive. You come there, you get everything done in that one day. And if you get out in time, you can send it out in the same day or put it in a post office box. So it's a great opportunity and it's a great service that we offer our community here in Broward County.
And of course, the next one is coming up, May, June area, I think is
Yeah,
the,
so our next one normally, so right, we have one in February, on February 22nd. And our next one is probably conceivably gonna take place sometime in May,
okay.
May or June. And so we always post it. We post it on our website at
Mhm.
BrowardSAO.com. And then oftentimes we post on our social media and we try to share wherever we can, in any social media exchange or radio, television, wherever we can get it out, we try to do it.
Well, and so, for people to understand, I will be I actually have gone to the February one because I have some relatives and some friends who need some records expunged, and it was seamless. So let me just let everybody know that it was a seamless process, and I'll let you know how it worked out. But just having the opportunity, and as you mentioned, everything was there at one place, and it was an amazing event. And thank you for Broward County actually putting this on. And again, the next one is going to be around the May, June time. Where can people find the information and any of the other programs that you talk about, the drug court, the Broward College opportunity from courts to college? Where can people get that information? State Attorney Harold Pryor.
Well, yeah, you can go to our website. It's BrowardSAO.com. So Broward and then SAO.com. And we actually have icons. So if you go down, we have icon/tab where you can click on it. It has a ceiling and expungement tab. And also it has a tab for diversion programs. And so any diversion program that we have, it's in that tab or that icon. So our Court to College program addressing educational issues, and then also our Economic Empowerment Today program is in there, drug court, mental health court, our pretrial intervention program for people that commit first-time felonies, and then our misdemeanor diversion programs. And we also have a DUI diversion program. So we offer programs to not just be punitive, but offer programs to hold people accountable, but also give people a second chance and address whatever issues that they're dealing with so we don't see them again. And that equates to public safety, not being passive. It's actually public safety, giving people an opportunity so we never see them again.
All right. Well, it has been a pleasure speaking with you. I know you got to run because, as always,
Right.
our Broward County State Attorney is very busy. But again, that website is Broward SAO, State Attorney's Office, BrowardSAO.com for all the information. Thank you so much, Broward County State Attorney Harold Pryor. Looking forward to another event that you're doing, whatever it is that you're doing. Please give me a call and we'll get the word out. And thank you so much for taking the time today.
Thank you, Tamara, and thank you to the people of Miramar. Great city, great people, great leadership. Appreciate you guys.
We know it's right here in Miramar. Thank you so very
Thank you.
much. And
All right.
thank you for watching Good Morning Miramar. Until next time, I'm Tamara G. See you.